Hey, Fred.
Hi,
Can you hear me
everybody.
now?
How you doing?
Doing okay.
Hey, Warren. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you? You're good?
Good, thanks.
Just give me a second. I just got off another meeting. Hey, we could have our own meeting.
All right. Where's everyone at?
Uh, Dun, dun, dun. Close.
All right, let me stop being a ghost.
You are a ghost.
Ooh.
You're not the ghost, you're the king.
Gotta get t-shirts made.
I was gonna get a jacket. And I think while the rest of us get pins, you should get like a robe.
You ever see Coming to America? I'm gonna get one of those King Joffrey Joffer.
I love that movie. So if no
Get the
one
$1
comes
million
to
sash.
if no one comes to the meeting, what do we
Your
do?
early bedtime.
I just got off a Kings County board meeting,
Man.
which
Oh,
isn't.
hold on. We are. Hold on. Before we continue, we are recording. So
I know. So thank you, but it's a very informative, demanding meeting.
what was so demanding?
Um, there, first of all, we had a very large attendance, and it's not. How should I put this? The questioning, after each person speaks, is about five or six, no, it's probably like 10 people on the agenda. It's hard to control the questioning, and it's not aggressive questioning, but because there are so many phone numbers, it gets a little kinky there. But what I will say is that COVID was not really spoken about, which is
Really?
a good sign. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and Mr. Burke, you'll be happy to hear. I scheduled myself and my mom. We're gonna get our shots on Monday.
Excellent. And Mia, it was great you didn't have any symptoms.
Hold on one second, Warren.
So what do I wait till like 7:10?
Yeah.
Hi, Maurice.
Hello, good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you. Great to
The
be
Kings County. Hey, Maurice, how are you? The Kings County event is running a little bit over.
Mhm.
They're gonna try to wrap by 7:10 because they can't start health and social services until they're
That's
done.
over.
So
Yep.
Oh,
gonna try to cut it down to 7:10 just so that we don't lose anyone waiting around for social services. Even though the email said that it would be rolling one to the other, but just,
Correct. I also asked Keisha today, the admin at Kings County, well, she's the assistant director, she's not an admin, to make, that we would prefer not having conflicts like this. Because I had a similar, it had an effect on the board meeting also, so. the
yeah, I'm
hospital
thinking more of
board
a
meeting.
5:30 start.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a different night, or if you're gonna, we start our meetings, the board meetings at 5, and they last probably till 6:30. So I said, just do it either a different day or just back it up a little.
Makes sense.
Mr. Cummings, how's it going, sir?
Good evening, Chairman. I see my manners is intact. I just didn't want to cut me off mid-sentence.
No, listen, I just appreciate you. I see you everywhere. I was like, you are really,
Oh, yeah, listen,
as a liaison and a community member, just fantastic. I mean, because you're really plugged in.
yeah, I try to be there, man. I want to.
That's good.
Listen, right? More so, like the Community Board 9, we only have like about 8 blocks. Alika's,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? So it's not nothing crazy, but it's not nothing to disregard. And even more so, I live in the hood. So I need to know what's going on. And I was like, it was crazy when it all, started happening. Mia, who happened to be my neighbor, right? I'm on the screen. I'm like, yeah, wait a minute, I know her. You know what I mean? And then I started seeing all of these people that that I've seen in the community, like just in passing over the years. It's great, to be able to work in my own community. I worked in Harlem for a lot of years for Chairman Keith Wright, like Charlie Rangle.
Oh, okay.
And,
That's terrific.
David Dinkins, Percy Sutton, those guys,
Wow, that's a blast from the past, Burton Sutton's.
Listen, it's a blessing given the way these electeds are coming up these days, and
Yeah,
people wake up and just think they have the right to run. I mean, they do have the right. Let me mind how I say that, the right to run.
Mhm.
But been in the community 35 seconds, and they got all the answers. That era of being bred and groomed
Mhm.
is behind us. So
Mhm.
I could appreciate being in the community now and being able to work for an amazing elected in Alika over in Brownsville. And we going
No,
through
it's great. This is the first time that we've really had a representative who has been attentive to CB9 from your district, and it's very
okay.
much appreciated.
Look, I live in the community too.
I know,
So.
and Maurice, I'm also one of your neighbors. I live on Sterling in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. You right down the block, brother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But you're not on Montgomery though. But unfortunately, not on Montgomery.
Well, I'm not.
If you were on Montgomery, it'd be a different story.
I'm not that fancy,
Yeah.
Oh, please. No fancy. Yeah, listen,
No, I know.
It's good to see everybody smiling. It's good to share a laugh and actually, like talk. I like to do more listening than talking, but it's good to talk every now and then and just give thanks for every day above ground.
No, it is.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is. So look, I don't know why there's no one here, but if you want me to run through some things, I certainly can. For the 710. So since Mr. Maurice has made the effort, I'm just going to run through some things quickly, and we can just discuss them because there's no real, from what I see, besides the shadow issue. If you take the EPC issues, there's not a lot, and we could decide on that together. But the important thing is the shadow study has been so well, so the shadow issue has been so well studied that I don't see where we can contribute in terms of research or whatever, because there's just tremendous amount of information on that which we can utilize.
Right. I would offer in terms of the environmental impact, I think it's probably a few other things that we should probably delve a little bit more into. Like for example, I mean, when you put this kind of a development in the district, there are huge concerns with regards to sewage, with regards to water.
Can I run
I
through my
mean,
list? Let me run through my list, because
okay,
you hit the two first subjects, and then we'll go from there, okay?
and the winning lotto
So,
numbers are.
7, 8, 9.
Wow, that's a good one. Very quickly, Mr. Tripoli sent an email. He's stuck at work, so he's
Okay,
unable to attend.
okay. So let me just go through this, okay? I took a look at the EPC responsibilities. And the first one is water and sewage. I spoke to Mr. Barrick today, and Richard said that, because obviously I'm a layman, Richard said that's not an issue. He said that there has been no development in New York City that has not been able to that the water and sewerage system has not been able to accommodate. Okay, it doesn't mean we don't want to bring it up, but that's the feedback I got. Okay, the next question I got was, the next issue I have is air quality, and as we've learned through the Armory, the issue of air quality may be important during construction. Things like that, but there's not a lot of negative effects from the building for air quality. In terms of noise, and once again, these are the parameters of the EPC committee. In terms of noise, the noise during the construction is formidable, and that's something we know. Based on our experience at the Armory, we may want to request some parameters that we're getting complaints about, but that's something we can talk about. Wind, big buildings change the flow patterns, and a great example of that to me is down in Brooklyn Heights, or actually Fort Greene, the Ashford building, the one right with Whole Foods in it, and that whole area there. The wind tunnels are just phenomenal. All right, so that's something that we could take a look at. And it's not. And one thing that Richard told me is, don't look at this as one building. Look at this as 3 or 4 buildings, and see what effect that has. I brought up the issue of birds, like flying into buildings, and I was told that there's a new law. That the new law is, there's a new type of glass that is quote unquote bird friendly. So that's part of the building code now. Shadows we talked about, but what we really have to take a look at Jackie Robinson and BBG, but to really the study that the developer had is an argument. They're arguing that it doesn't matter during the winter and it doesn't affect the summer. And that's something we should integrate, because it does affect the winter. I know I'm out all the time in the winter riding my bike, and kids are playing basketball and, on Sterling Street at the school, and, and outside playing. So something we should take a look at. Density, that's not really an EPC issue in terms of, the building itself, but there is a ripple effect that could affect EPC by the number of people, parking, all that stuff, which is really issues of other committees. One thing he did point out is that we have to take a look at ponding based upon everything flows downhill. And he gave me some suggestions on what to include in our request. For instance, a rain garden at the end of the development, and curb development, which essentially will stop water from rushing down to Empire Boulevard. And he said that that's something that the borough president wants included in all of his, in his answers. Okay. Roofs. Richard said that one of the things that the borough president is very interested in is solar. Oh, Dante just emailed, okay. You know, Mia, you want to email Dante and tell him there's no need? If you would please. Is the whole thing with solar power. And solar power is really on two different levels at this point with the technology. And the purpose of the solar power is to really store energy in the batteries, okay, in case something happens. And, you know, the elevators run and everything else. So the obvious thing is the solar power on the roofs. And the other part is there's a new facade material that's actually solar powers that collects sunlight, which could be really collect a lot of power if they need it. He said that Borough President Adams wants to include this in all of his recommendations, but it's some sort of skin that goes on the facade, and it collects it. What else? What else? So that's really it. You know, those are the issues that I see for EPC. There aren't a lot. My recommendation is, you know, at some point, once we're allowed by the court order to proceed, that we need to, you know, speak with Pat and get a formula and how we're going to do the final paper, you know, the final request.
With regards to it, I think you kind of touched on it with regards to the power. I think that my understanding is usually when you have solar, it gives you back a percentage of the power where you can actually recoup that from solar energy. So you can, you know, in the other cases, you can actually sell it back to the power company.
Exactly.
Just because of the sheer size, but because of the sheer size of it, that's still something very significant that's on the grid. Yep. And just remembering, just a couple of summers ago, we had brownouts that happened at the district in terms of, you know, we've had a lot of new developments that have been happening.
Yeah.
And the new developments take up a lot of power. I mean, obviously, when you increase the density, you have more toasters, you have more televisions, you have more ACs, you have a whole lot of other, you know, appliances that come with that, which create additional strain on the grid. And particularly, just anecdotally, from what I understand, there haven't been really significant improvements with regards to that. So I think it is something that has to be addressed in terms of, is this way too dense to put there? Because remember, the grid has been without this for years. I mean, this before the spice factor still was nominal.
Correct.
Now, if you're going to throw 2,000 to 3,000 residents right there, that's really significant, going to, you know, impact everything that goes around there as well. So,
Right.
you know, those are kinds of, you know, something that we really need to consider in terms of, is it something that's way too big to even consider to begin with?
No, I agree.
35 stories, or even at 17 stories, it might be too big. But I think it's something definitely for us to consider. And along those same lines, I think gas is another one as well, because I do know that with a lot of the new developments, there have been issues with gas. I think
that I did not cover. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's something that also needs to be considered, because, you know, I think that too often in these papers, they gloss over it by saying, "Oh yeah, the utilities say they can cover it," and you know what? There were you know, households that had gas installed, and they were up to 2 or 3 years after.
No, that's correct. I remember the whole issue of gas not being connected because they said they didn't have enough, you know, enough capacity, and it also, I think it was hooked to a political reason about the pipeline. So you're 100% right.
Yeah, so I think we should request more information with regards to that. Not just, oh yeah, they said they can handle it. We should probably get the paperwork in terms of what analysis has been done to say that yes, the grids can support all this extra density, and that, you know, all this extra proposed density.
Yeah. The other point that Richard made about the document that Alicia is requesting, he said that we have most of the information in it. We may not have the facade materials, but he said the planning commission doesn't place a high priority on that. But he said we have all the floor plans, and that's the major makeup of that document, for whatever that's worth. And that's it. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Actually, let's let Maurice make that decision.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, well, listen, I think that, all the stuff you just outlined is very critical in terms of we should get certain answers to those.
Yeah,
So perhaps
exactly.
it'll be something for us as a committee, for the committee to be able to come back and either say we've got
Exactly.
answers, or if we know that there are gaps in the knowledge, those are the things we should be requesting. So I think
No,
absolutely we
exactly.
should request the gas situation. We should get additional information for the power grid. We should get more additional
Right. And
information.
that was essentially the subject of the meeting tonight in terms of 960. So I don't think we lost anything by not having good attendance. I'm not sure why. I know that Ms. Pinkerton had to work. Okay, but we can go from there. The other issues I had on my agenda are all issues we discussed in the office. The one additional piece of information Dante was able to find out, I asked him to find out if the 10,000 new hirees to clean up Brooklyn that Mayor de Blasio is hiring, what effect that would have on our district. And it was pretty light. The answer was that for the garbage cans, the outside litter baskets, that collection would go from 3 days to 7. And that was it. So that's something we want to work on.
Well, that's substantial because that's the main complaint that
Is it?
that's where the dump
Okay.
points. Yeah, that's where the
Okay.
dump points are at the green baskets on the corner.
Okay,
And
perfect.
the frequency encourages illegal dumping because the longer it sits, the longer people pile on to it every day that they see it go unchecked.
Okay,
So
good.
that is significant.
So that's going to be 7 days a week, including Sundays. So thank you, Mia, for that input.
Yeah.
You know what? And as long as we're talking trash, we should also, within responses to sanitation about, listen, that's a lot of people. So so I mean, same thing, sanitation should actually be able to weigh in and a little bit more than just, we can handle it in terms of, how much are you going to would you up-ramp staffing and all kinds of other stuff, or you would have to do that.
Yeah, well, I think at the district council meeting, Dante may want to negotiate for more benefit from that, even though it's substantial, and I agree, I agree with that. But just things like what are happening at Firestone, and Maurice, for your information, the chair of CB9 has determined that there's a lot of garbage at Firestone and around all the cars and everything else. And no, these are important issues because it's closed. And as Fred put it, a lot of people were parking there. But meanwhile, it's filthy. And you know what filth breeds? It breeds rats and everything else. So our office has been in touch with them, and it is now noted, and it is on the sanitation lot cleaning list.
Oh, wow.
So we're waiting for information of when that would happen. And I believe Fred asked Dante to follow up on that today.
Yeah, and I know a couple of people that have used the Firestone, the front and the side of it as like late night premium parking.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Oh, this is important for you, Maurice. On Clove Road, we had our first conversation, meaning Fred, myself, Mia, and Dante. Actually, Mia wasn't there, with Carl Cohn, who was building the building on the corner of Montgomery and Nordstrom. And the whole issue that we had in terms of the community board, there were 2 issues. One was egress and getting into and getting out of Clove Road for the residents, and Fred added if I'm wrong. And the second one was the building the plaza. And our question was, well, the building has not been started yet, and it seems like the plaza is taking shape. So we don't want to be sitting there with the plaza and no sponsor, because Mr. Cohn has been sponsoring, has agreed to sponsor financially the plaza, which is not insignificant, okay? So he said that Clove Road, the plaza at Clove Road, once all the approvals are in, and his building will happen concurrently. So we shouldn't be facing that situation. Is that correct, Fred?
Have
Yeah,
any,
I think substantially.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Chair, pardon me.
No, I was saying substantially correct. Yeah, not too much. Yeah.
What is this, what is the plaza supposed to look like? I haven't, is there like a rendering, a markup or something?
There isn't yet, but if you go down to Parkside and Ocean Avenue, right across from the park, there's a plaza there that it will look similar to that.
Yeah.
I mean, Carl has
Yeah,
privately some other ideas, but we don't know what will happen there.
Right, and right in front of the Q train station, they they put trees, they put benches and things of that nature to kind of make a little public plaza.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So I think that's similar, something similar that they would be looking to do.
I go to
Or
the bike across the
yeah,
street.
you know what they did, like you know at the Flatbush Junction where they closed off that little side street between MCU and BBQs, similar to
Yeah.
that, where the seats go out during the day and the bid they pull the seats and chain them up in the evening.
Is
And
that
that
going to stop cars from being able to drive through though?
yeah,
Correct.
no, yeah, they closed that off similar. No car because cars used to be able to go down toward Brooklyn College, so now it's cut off, and the seats come out, and then they're chained up by the bid actually handles that one, and the bids they pull up the chairs in the evening and chain them up.
Yeah, over the years, people are so disrespectful to Clove Road. I mean,
I
like,
agree.
like it's not a street. Like people park their car where where you're able to make the right to go down Clove.
Yep.
Like, yo, that's a blatant driveway. What are you doing?
Right.
Like, that's
There are two issues. One issue is, and it's good you're bringing this up, is there's private parking lots along Clove Road above Melbourne that seem to be privately owned, so something will have to be worked out with that, but it's not our issue. I think it's a DOT issue. And the second is that the people in Malvern are complaining about, entrance and exit, but legal is the same entrance and exits they should be using now and not going up Clove Road to get to Montgomery.
I mean, that's a moot point because you're going against traffic, so that's illegal. Actually,
yeah, but that's what they do.
Well, just remember that piece of Clove Road right next to Montgomery. There's not even a curb cut, and there's a street light right in the middle of it.
Yeah,
Right.
that curb cut is off to the left,
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's a mess.
yeah. And that's
But
really it.
Yeah.
I use it. I use Clove Road to get to Empire or
Right.
to get to Nostrand.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that now, but when the plaza's done, that will be cut off.
Oh, okay. We're fine.
All
Or at
right.
least that's a preliminary conversation. So I think when things get finalized, that's going to be the conversation in terms of what they're going to do.
And
Yeah, and
listen,
But additionally, I think, but some of the considerations I think we've also been saying is that if they're, depending on what they do, there'll probably also have to be a conversation with DEP, with DOT in terms of the grading on that street is not proper either. So it's like they might have to put proper curbs on there if they're going, depending on what they do, and they might actually have to put drain pipes or
Yeah,
catch
because
basins for the water.
there's ponding.
Yeah, because it's ponding over there as well. So there's definitely a lot of stuff that's got to be addressed depending on the route that they go. But this is at least an initial conversation just to get some understanding in terms of what's transpired, what conversations have been had, and what potentially is going to be coming down the pipe.
and if they do decide, I mean, if it does go through, I would hope that the developer have you guys been in touch with the developer? Like, since no one has seen any renderings of what the plaza would look like, is the community going to have any type of input or say as to what this thing is going to look like?
The answer to that is yes. That I believe at the transportation meeting, and Mia, correct me, they will be having, they sent out a survey already, an email survey, but they will be having planning sessions to see what the community wants on that plaza. So as far as I know, the answer is yes.
Yeah, listen, Mr. Warren, 55 people filled out that survey. I'm one of the 55. That was
Me
the number.
too.
Right, so
Me
I hope.
too.
Okay, look, see, 2 out of
So
50.
you see that? We'll get our way.
Listen, right? I mean, right now I'm like on the fence about it because I use it, but if it's something that'll, make the community a little bit more vibrant, or give people a place to be or whatever, and
Yeah.
figure it out. And we have the input. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
I can't stand, and this is a problem like in the districts that I work in the belly of the beast in Brownsville, and developers come in, or they want to do something with NYCHA, and this I'm just using it as an example, and they come in with the plan, and the people have to live there, and they don't have anything to offer, or they don't give them an opportunity, and it winds up being this long process of going back and forth. When you build it on somebody's land or in somebody's community, come in from ground zero and get the input as to how things would like to be. Aesthetically, it continues to go with the,
I
with the
agree.
aesthetic and all of that. I don't want to get
I
crazy
agree.
deep. But just an
And
example.
the unknown is the effect that the associated development will have on this. So
Mhm.
that's a whole nother issue, because you're talking about a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I want to save Associated. I don't mind walking to Western Beef, but Associated is convenient right around the corner. Even
No, it
though
is.
they are gouging the heck out of us.
I
right?
agree. That's what I found. Okay, I agree. I stopped shopping there because it was so expensive, and I just felt like I was getting ripped. But that
Well, no, it's egregious right now,
It is.
and they know
It
what they
is.
know what it's calculated. They know exactly what they're doing. I don't. I love
Yeah.
bacon, not $10 for it. Like, you killing me right now, B.
Yeah. Well, the measurement in my mind is a gallon of milk, and they have the most expensive milk in the district. All right, and that's a mainstay. Okay, so see, my ex-wife taught me well. So
Blessings to your ex, Mr. Warren.
that's it. That's it. So that's my report. Should we adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
Aye, Captain.
All right. So that's 4
Go
in
to the
favor.
meeting with Miss Francisca. It's another. What's the simultaneous meetings? That's why I'm like, sometimes I got
Health
tops
and
up.
Social Services, they're one.
Yeah, go to
Yeah,
Francesca's.
Yeah,
I'm-
Fran is there.
It's a very good meeting, by the way.
This
Okay.
was a very quaint, nice, and informative meeting. I appreciate you all. Thank you so
No, I
much.
gotta tell you, it was very productive, and we got to know you a little.
Oh, well, I'm an open book. Ask a question, I'll answer it. Don't ask
I
a
know.
question.
You didn't know I was your neighbor, so
I hope
If
I
you
bought
Because you're not on Montgomery.
If you see a guy on a bike with a green helmet, that's me.
Okay. If you see the guy with a Peugeot and some Air Jordan 1s and no helmet, that's me.
That's you. Okay, got it.
Have a good evening,
Hilarious.
folks.
Have a good
All right,
evening.
take
Everyone,
care,
take
guys.
care. Good night now.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.